Hello and welcome to Spirit Forest. I am going to show you guys today what I pack in my car during the winter months to help me, just in case, the car's not always reliable. So in case I need to spend the night in my car, I got the gear that I need to keep me warm during these cold winter months. Currently right now it's early in the morning. I think it's about 8 o'clock in the morning and we're looking at about 20 degrees. I'm at about 10,000 feet above sea level right now, and let me show you what I got in the car. Okay, let's check out my car, what I got in here. I'm currently on a ski weekend right now, so I got a lot of my ski gear in here, but I do keep some stuff in my car that just stay in my car all winter long. One of them is this. Actually, this is kind of new for me to bring. It's my old sleeping bag that I had. Shoot, I don't know. I've had this thing for like 10 years or so. And it's just time for me. I was gonna sell it, get rid of it, because it really just doesn't keep you any warm. It's lost all of its fluff. So I was like, and I'll just put it in my car for the winter time, and it doesn't matter if it's just in its little bag anyway. So I put this in the car this year. I also have snowshoes with me. I always put snowshoes in my car because I never know when I want to go for a hike. Sometimes I'll just be driving by and I see this trailhead and maybe it's popular and I'm like, oh, I haven't done that trail yet, and so then I'll go over there and check out that trail. So always keep the snowshoes in my car as well. And again, if I get my car stuck, which a lot of times if I'm going off-road, I don't do it as much in the wintertime. My car is a little bit older, so I just don't trust it that much. But just in case I were to, it's nice to have these around too in case I need to hike out. Another thing I have in my car is this backpack. Now this thing is totally stuffed right now. I got a ton of stuff in it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to lay it out and I'm going to show you guys everything that I have in my pack. Before I do that, I want to go over a story where I had the unfortunate experience to be stuck out in a Colorado blizzard, and I just stayed the night in my car. So I want to tell you guys that story here shortly before I unpack all this. Now, again, my disclaimer is this is what I put in my car. It doesn't say that this is what you put in your car. Do what's right for you. This is what's right for me. So there you go for that. I came out here in the sun a bit. You can see the cabin that I'm staying in for this weekend. But wanted to talk a little bit about my story about how I spent the night in a blizzard in my car, and I really wasn't prepared. Now again, if you guys have been following my whole journey, you'll know that I'm from California. You don't get a lot of blizzards in Anaheim, so it was new to me. I was in my 20s. I was in college at the time, and in fact I was driving from Durango all the way up to Fort Collins. And I had two guys with me in the car to help pay for gas, and I was staying at one of those guys' parents' house. But I wanted to go check out the college, so I dropped them off at the parents' house, and then I went up to CSU, which is up in Fort Collins. And I knew somebody else that was up there too, and I was hanging out. I knew I was going to be pretty late, and I didn't get back to, I think it was in the Denver area that I came back, but I left Fort Collins, which wasn't a smart plan of mine, but this is before cell phones. There weren't any cell phones. You couldn't call anyone. I didn't know his parents' number. So I'd like, okay, I'm the type of person, I don't want to be a burden on people. So I was like, I need to get back down. I told him I was going to be back down. A storm started coming in and I started driving down I-25 from Fort Collins to Denver area. And roads were getting really slick, and I was in a little Subaru Legacy, which is honestly one of my favorite cars I've ever owned because it was very reliable in the snow. And I did finally get to the parents' house. What would have been like an hour drive, I think ended up being 3 to 4 hour drive. I arrived at the house, I think it was about 11:30 or 12 midnight. you know, I felt really bad because that's not like me to arrive at somebody's house and you know, it'd be kind of rude that early in the morning or late at night. But the door was locked. I walked up to the door, and again, the blizzard was just going. I mean, it was like wide out conditions, and I walk up to the door, and the door's locked, and then I feel really bad. I'm like, I gotta ring the doorbell. So I rang the doorbell, and nobody answered. Their dog barked, but nobody answered. I knew that my friends were staying in the basement, so I climbed over the fence. Now again, thinking it's a blizzard condition, I climb over the fence, and I'm knocking on the window in the basement, and no sound, nothing there either. And so then I'm like, I didn't know what to do. I had no money. Again, I'm a poor college kid. So I had no money. So what I had to do is I hunkered down in my car. I did have my ski jacket because I was a skier. So I had my ski jacket in my car, and I had this little towel. It was just like a regular, like a bath towel. It got down to in the teens that night. So I stayed in my car, shivering. It was probably one of the coldest experiences of my life. But I learned a lot from that, and I do keep stuff in my car for the wintertime. I remember trying to fall asleep and I'm having this towel over me, and multiple times I would get up and ring the doorbell, and again, no answer. They just didn't hear me. And then early in the morning, as I'm freezing, and this is before I had the condition with my hands and feet, if you saw that video earlier, I was just freezing. I heard a noise, and it was the dad. So the dad came out and took his dog out, and he noticed that, I think he noticed I was in the car, and I was all bundled up and curled into this little tiny ball, and he knocked on the window, and he's like, "What are you doing in there?" I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "You guys want to answer the door?" And you know, I was so tired, and if you know me, if I'm tired, I get moody, so you know, and I was just like, "I'm tired, I just want to go to bed." You know, and I got out of the car, and he let me in. I don't know what time it was. I was a long time ago, so I'm gonna guess it was probably like 6 in the morning or something like that. But ever since then, I make sure I always have something in my car that would keep me warm, just in case I need to. You know, and I'm 20 years old, so a lot of times when you're 20 years old, you don't think about it. You don't think that, you know, I didn't have a credit card at the time. All I had was cash. I lived off $50 a month or so, like literally, I'm not kidding you. I had no money. I couldn't get to a hotel. You know, I thought about like going to like Denny's and sitting in a Denny's, but then I'm like, I had no money to buy any of the food that Denny's. You know? What am I gonna do? Sit there for an hour drinking hot cocoa? You know, so like all this stuff was going through my head, and you know, I never thought that I was gonna lose my life or anything like that, because if I did, I mean, I started my car every now and then, would try to warm up the car, but and again, I think I was pretty low in gas, so it was a learning experience. You know, when we're in our 20s, a lot of times we just don't think about that kind of stuff. And if you see my backpacking video, where I found a stranded woman on the side of the road, she had nothing in her car either, and she was in her 20s too, you know. And I remember talking to her on the ride back to the city and being like, you know, you really should keep this and this in your car. And she's looking at me like, yeah, okay, you know. I'm like, no, really, when you get stuck in that situation. So that is my story. I am going to unload this pack, and I'm going to show you. Maybe I can unload it where there isn't any snow. I'm going to unload the pack and show you kind of what I have in there, and explain why I brought what I brought. Okay, I got it all laid out here, all unloaded. I'm just going to go through it really fast. If any questions, just leave a comment below. I have my sleeping pad. I have a nice blanket. I got these ice trekkers here. That's really nice for hiking in the ice area. I also have some gloves. I have a cup of noodle and some snacks. This should last me, I should be fine for a couple days with that. I actually have my stove in here, which I usually don't bring my stove, but I packed it anyways. Just because I've been going on some longer hikes, and so I've decided to pack that. That is my canteen, so I can boil water. I have some duct tape here. I have a hat that has a light on it, which I've shown a couple times. This is brand new. I just got this for the holidays. These are some more, these are like spikes for my shoes. And I got a few whistles. I got another light, another solar light. And I have my knife, but I also have another knife that always stays in my car too. I have my Bear Grylls knife that's in my car as well all the time. I have a Bic lighter, but to be honest guys, this does not work in the cold, so be aware of that. I got a couple stories about this one of some guys that have gone up 14ers and got lost and then tried to start a fire, and they couldn't get a fire going because they couldn't get their Bic lighter to go. So I bring it just in case I can warm it up, but I always have my fire rod with me, and I didn't want to unhook it from my backpack, so it always stays hooked on to my backpack. Plenty of hand warmers. I always have tons of hand warmers. I also have another stove as well, kind of a backup stove. And then I have my little Bear Grylls survival kind of kit thing, which I've gone over this before. So I have that as well. It has one of those silver emergency blankets and stuff like that in here too. So that's everything that I have in my pack in my car, and to be honest with you, basically what I do is I use my car as my gear car. So I take all the gear, all my winter gear, or the majority of this stuff, out of my gear room, and I put it directly in my car. So when I end up going hiking or something like that, I'm actually not going down in my basement inside my gear room. I'm actually going to my car and loading up my little day pack from these items in here. I just reuse a lot of stuff. I don't have a separate bag for winter and a separate bag for day hikes. This is all the same gear that I use. I just put it back in my in this. I'll put it back in this backpack, and or if I'm using that backpack, I'll take the stuff out that I might not need. Like for example, I might not need my sleeping pad or the blanket, or I might add some more stuff to it. So it gives you a pretty good idea of what I keep in my car. I've been asked a couple times to do a video like this, so you guys know what I keep in my car during the winter months, and I wanted to share that story with you. So just a good reminder for yourself, if you're in Colorado, a lot of times roads close. Currently where I'm located, I have to go over 2 different passes in order to get back to the city. So I only got 2 different routes that I can go. If both those passes are closed, I got to either find a hotel or sleep in my car, and that does happen. Especially I have this pass over here that closes all the time. It's not as popular. So just be prepared to be able to sleep in your car if you can, and pack the right gear. I really appreciate the watch, guys, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Thank you.